my Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1679 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open. An award-winning podcast from Moneris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. Silverwax.ca. Use the promo code TorontoMike10 at checkout and save 10%. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management, Inc. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, making his Toronto Mic debut, is Andrew Scott. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So when I saw you walking down the street, I noticed right away a beautiful red baseball cap, Cincinnati Reds cap, and then I started talking to you about Chris Sabo, and you're like, who? And I realized, oh, maybe you're not a Reds fan, so you're not a baseball fan.
Not at all. Not at all. And I know that a red baseball cap these days is not necessarily smiled upon item, especially in this country.
Yet you wore one for your Toronto Mic debut.
It's a Cincinnati Reds cap. And, you know, I like to sort of spin it like it's red and white and a big C for Canada.
But my guess, I'm naturally curious, why a baseball cap if you're not a baseball fan? Like, is it style? You like how it looks?
I just like a good hat.
You're not. It's not a tribute to Pete Rose or anything like that.
Not at all. No. Okay. It's more complicated than that.
Well, do you enjoy other sports?
I do. I play hockey every day of the week except for Thursdays.
Where do you play?
I play all over the city.
Did you play in like a rock band league or something? Like
No.
You're taking shots on Dave Bedini or something?
Well, I do play with him occasionally. But no, the people that I play with, there's some of them are commercial airline pilots. Some of them are real estate agents. Some of them are restaurant managers. Some of them are journalists. Some of them are retired, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, just common people.
Yep.
Shout out to Pulp. Okay. So are you a Leafs fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a Leafs fan. I don't really have a team. I do follow hockey. Like, I'm a student of the game. I just watch it all the time to my wife's and daughter's dismay, but they've been having kind of fun watching these opening rounds of the playoffs with me.
Like I'm just trying to understand when you become a Maritimer. So because you're born in Ottawa, right?
I was born in Ottawa, but I moved to the Maritimes when I was like 5.
So typically would a Maritimer root for the Leafs or the Habs? Like, is there an allegiance there?
There were no Maritimers that I really know of, except for my brother-in-law, who's just an outlier. He's the only Maritimer I know who roots for the Maple Leafs. So you're either Montreal or Boston when you live there.
Of
typically.
course, Boston, right? That makes sense with New England there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering if you'd be tuned in tonight for the Leafs versus
definitely.
Senators.
Yep.
Okay, but you didn't wear a Leafs cap because the red hat. You know, I'm thinking pre-Trump, right? So Trump's got the red hat thing. Fred Durst used to rock a red cap. Do you remember this? The Limp Bizkit years. So he would wear like a backwards red cap. So he was kind of ahead of the game on the whole red cap meaning kind of a ass hat.
I didn't pay attention to him or the Limp Bizkit band whatsoever, so I kind of don't remember any of it.
DJ Lethal. Okay. I'm going to play a different tune, bring you back. And by the way, I'm glad you're here. You know, you're the final member of Sloan to visit the basement. Like, I'm honored you're here.
Oh, thank you. I understood that the rest of my coworkers have all been here.
But I saved the best for last, right?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that. Okay, yeah. Andrew, I'll be the judge of that. But so in the headphones, you're going to hear a jam here, and then we're going to talk about it.
Last song, this is another one of ours, still all ours. It's called Power.
Apologies for the potato quality audio recording, but I think it's amazing I've got audio at all. Please tell me what we're listening to.
I'm gonna just guess, is it either Jail or the V's?
No Damn Fears.
Oh, No Damn Fears. Okay.
The song's called Power.
Close.
Yeah. No, absolutely close. Okay. So take me way back. First of all, maybe share a word or two about No Damn Fears.
Yeah, No Damn Fears was a band that existed. I played with them for a brief period toward the end of their existence there in the very late 80s, early 90s. But they were already performing, and it was the singer was Jennifer Pierce, who was also in Jail and sang on a bunch of Sloan tracks and back in the day. The band was but definitely comprised by a guy named Dave Marsh, who plays drums with Joel Plaskett, and he does his own stuff too. Dave Marsh and the True Love Rules, and his stuff is fantastic.
And the Super Friends too, right?
He played with the Super Friends here and there too. Yeah, they had a bit of a revolving door drummer situation. And then the bass player in that band, No Damn Fears, was Doug McDonald. He still lives out in Halifax.
Okay, and did Matt Murphy play with No Damn Fears? Probably, possibly.
I'm sure Matt probably got up here and there or played on a recording maybe once or twice, but he never played live that I recall when I was playing drums for them.
So I got to, declare some ignorance on No Damn Fears. So I'm digging into like your pre-Sloan roots when it comes to music and stuff, and I'm listening to some No Damn Fears, and I dug that up. So they released one cassette. It was called Spring 1990. Mm-hmm. That was recorded apparently in 1989, and then they broke up. So kind of a super group there. Like when you think about these members of Jail and Sloan and Joel Plaskett Emergency and Super Friends, kind of interesting to have them all come together in this band.
Yeah, and it was really an unforced thing. Like it just sort of, they had the drummer that played with them originally, a guy named Pete DeJesu, who's a visual artist out there in Halifax. He was an American, and he spent a lot of time, I think, in the Southwest. And I guess for some reason he was gone for an indefinite period of time, and Dave and I were becoming friends, and I knew Jennifer pretty well just through my wife, Fiona Hyatt, and Chris Murphy. I mean, Halifax was a very small scene, so you knew everybody whether you knew them or not.
Well, that's what I'm kind of digging here for, is that like paint the picture of that scene, because we know, of course, Sloan, and we know Joel Plaskett Emergency and Jail and Super Friends. Like these are all bands we know coming out of the Maritimes in the like late 80s, early 90s. And it seems like it's like people often talked about it as like, Canada's Seattle. Like this is like, we have this movement. There's a scene happening here.
Yeah. I mean, there was a large, very fertile scene before any of us came around too. So there was, it was all, Halifax had always had a very rich musical kind of underworld, and Sloan got lucky. We were right place, right time.
Yeah. Did April Wine mean something to you back then? I'm thinking
of course, loved them. Yeah.
So the late great Miles Goodwin.
That's right.
Okay. We had him on the show. Shout out to Miles Goodwin.
Oh, great.
And sorry to lose him, of course. But by the way, that audio I played from No Damn Fears, it was the Pub Flamingo.
Yeah.
And it was the Maritime Music Awards showcase. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that was you banging the drums or what was going on there.
That might have been Pete.
Got to correct this for the public record. And while we're on this, and then it's funny, I got to recording them. I want to watch this Leaf game. Okay, so because my 11-year-old is suddenly into it, which adds this all new dimension, as you know, right? Because he didn't seem to care, and now suddenly he cares. So it's like, oh, this is exciting because I get to do it again here with the 11-year-old, and I want to watch this game. But I get this note from Donovan Bailey, who's like, we need to record tonight, and I'm explaining like, I kind of want to watch this Leaf game. Like so we reached this compromise. We'll do a quick recording at 8:00, but I'm not bringing up Donovan Bailey to humble brag. I'm trying to segue over to track and field, because if you go to the Wikipedia page for you, it says,
never seen it.
I'll read it. Have you never seen it? Okay, I'm going to read it for you. Scott was once the holder of several provincial track and field records.
Lies.
So this is a chance to correct the public record, because it suggests on your Wikipedia page that you abandon your athletic aspirations to become a visual artist. Like, I'm reading that verbatim. Give me the real talk here.
Well, it's just such simplified falsehoods. I had held one provincial high jump record for whatever.
Not several.
Not several. No, God.
How do you go from one to several? Who wrote this?
I don't know. That's why I've never seen it, because I know it's all bullshit.
Did Chris write this? What's going on here? No. Okay. So you had you did have a high jump record though for
a time.
Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I think so, for high school.
Okay, well that is awesome.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but did you have athletic aspirations?
Yeah, I really, I had a choice after I graduated from high school. I was like, okay, am I going to go to St. FX University, which I have no idea how I got accepted to with my academic career, because I was a terrible student, like just a D student.
Well, maybe they saw your records and they said, we need him for his athleticism.
We need him.
They recruited you.
I was thinking I would go to St. FX and maybe try and play basketball, because that was my sport all through high school.
And that's a good basketball team.
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just had, it was fun. It wasn't like I thought I'd make it to the NBA or anything, but I was also very interested in art, and I knew from a very young age, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an artist. So I also got accepted to the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, which is now called NASCAD University. And I went there right out of high school, and I don't regret 1 second.
Okay, so when do you fall in love with music, though? Because obviously we're on our way to getting you in Sloan.
I fell in love with music as a young child. I was brought up in a very musical household. My dad was a jazz musician, self-taught drummer and piano player, guitar player.
Oh, so you watched your dad banging the drums, and you're like, I want to do that.
Well, it wasn't even that I want to do that. It was just like, well, that's in my DNA.
Right.
And I didn't pick up a pair of drumsticks until I was about 19 years old. I started playing guitar when I was about 15.
Okay. Quick question on our way to Sloan. What was Oreo reversed?
Well, it was just Oreo reverse. It wasn't
No D?
No D.
A lot of corrections to make.
And that was my first band, and it was comprised of myself, but my name in that band was the Batman. And my friend Doug Ferguson, his name was Doug E. Fresh. Doug, capital E. Fresh.
Pretty sure that was taken, though.
Yeah, I think I think the other guy was Dougie, Dougy. And then the other guy was a guy named Tyrone Williams, who was his name in the band was TIC, stands for Totally in Control. Okay. And so Tyrone is a black man, and Doug and myself were white, and we formed this band for the high school talent show at Queen Elizabeth High School in Halifax in 1986.
Now I get Oreo reverse, because Oreos are like, there's the black layer, and then there's the white layer and the black layer, and you're the flip.
Yeah, it's not too complicated.
But you do several trademark violations. My lawyer, Lauren Honigman, wants me to point out that the Batman is owned by DC Comics.
Yeah,
so they want to talk to you. And Oreo, is it Mr. Christie? I don't know, but they want to talk to you as well.
Nabisco.
Okay, so they want to talk to you as well.
And reverse is owned by any car transmission manufacturer.
And Dougie Fresh is online too. He says, "Hey, I've already taken that name. What are you doing here, buddy?" Okay.
And also, in the one song that we wrote and performed, I played note for note the guitar. I was a guitar player in this band, but it was finger quotes a rap group. But I also played the note for note solo from Rumble in Brighton by the Stray Cats.
Rumble in Brighton tonight. Ringside seats for the neighborhood fight.
Yeah.
I love that Built for Speed cassette.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, like
So
one of my
good.
first favorite cassettes is Built for Speed, and Rumble in Brighton was a standout track.
Yeah, killer.
Can't believe I have a fellow Rumble in Brighton head in the basement here. I saved the best Sloan member for last. So let's get you to Sloan. How do you end up in Sloan?
Well, it was a complicated sort of Rubik's Cube because Chris and Jay had a band called Carney Lake Road, which I'm sure you guys all spoke about when they were on these shows. So Carney Lake Road was a great band. On a sad note, the third member of that three-piece, the bass player Henry Sangalang, just passed away just literally last week.
I saw this on Instagram. So
yeah,
sorry.
really terrible, really terrible. So Carney Lake Road were way ahead of their time when they were playing in the mid 80s in Halifax. And I used to be, I would be working as a DJ at the Club Flamingo or whatever, at these certain clubs in Halifax that would have live bands. And Carney Lake Road would open up for whoever, DLA or SNFU or the Nils and stuff like that. And so over time, I got to know Chris, got to know Jay a little bit, and Henry even less so. But then Carney Lake Road, I'm trying to piece together thinking if I could remember. I guess Carney Lake was still going, but there was another friend of ours, this guy named John Goodrich. He now lives in Mexico City. He was also a great player, and Chris started just playing with him, just fooling around, and then it kind of came around to, hey, Andrew, you want to come and play drums? And I was such a novice drummer at that point. But we would go to John's apartment and just try stuff. So we kind of came up with this band. I think we played 5 or 6 shows, Chris Murphy, myself, and John Goodrich. But we changed our name every show. So we were Furious George one show. We were Clothesline one show. We were The Slack. We were The Despots. We were Right Arm. I think one more, I can't remember. But that was sort of sort of around this weird band that just changed their name every time they played. Carney Lake Road just kind of fell apart, sadly.
So they break up in, I guess, 1990 or so.
I guess so. I can't remember the exact time frame. And around that time, I was trying my hand. I was like, I'm gonna just go to Toronto and just see what it's like there, just because my sister lived here and
that early.
Late 80s, I came out here, and I lived with the band the Jellyfish Babies out here when they were still playing around. They would be playing and not touring, but playing shows in Southern Ontario with like Change of Heart and stuff like that.
Who I'm seeing tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Yeah, can't wait. Actually,
Yeah.
Geary Road there. They get the
Yes.
first LP in like 27 years or something.
Say hi to them for me.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Who do you have? Ian and Rob?
I had Ian over. So I'm going to their concert tomorrow. Ian was over last week, if I remember correctly. I think I did this like 3 in a row of people who played on Smile. Like it was
Right.
Glenn Milcham
Mm-hmm.
who played on a track on Smile. Then it was Gil Moore. A
That's
fun
right.
story, which I'm actually building a little documentary thing about because Gil Moore, Bobby Wiseman produced Gil Moore hitting a gong.
I remember seeing this clip. I think
Okay, yeah. So I feel like I've uncovered. I feel like this should be like a mini series. Okay, there's a whole thing. So there's a gong, and I actually asked Ian Blurden which song has the gong in it. He doesn't remember. I went through. There's a lot of tracks on Smile. It's like 26 songs or something. I went through note by note every song on Smile to try to find a gong. I found one song that sounded like it might have a gong in it, and I sent it to some musical experts like Rob Pruce and some people who know music. I'm just a phony. And then I think, there's a gong there or whatever. So I found a gong, and then Ian Blurden, I jogged his memory like about, are we sure Gilmore hit this gong or whatever? I asked Gil. So Gil was over after Glenn Milcham, and he has no memory of hitting any gong for Smile. But Ian tells me it absolutely happened. And then we found out the guy who produced the gong for Smile was Bob Wiseman.
Wow.
Like, it's just, this is an unbelievable story, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for validating, because I feel like this is a big discovery, but I want more people to care as much as I do. But okay, so can't remember where I was going here, but do we have the foursome intact at this point? What's surprising to me as we walk through the story is I actually didn't think you moved to Toronto until, like, I don't know, 93 or something like that.
No, I moved permanently. Well, saying that now because I've been here. I've lived here longer than I ever lived in the Maritime now.
Right.
But I moved here permanently it would have been like late 1992, sort of right when the band Sloan was on a kind of a perceived vertical trajectory.
Okay, because we're going to talk about that because I want to go into a little depth on Twice Removed. Okay, so on our way to Twice Removed, of course, there's a Peppermint EP, then, of course, Smeared, and I'm going to play a song in a minute from Smeared just to really warm us up here. But on our way to the Peppermint EP, so we have the band intact. It's like after the breakup of Kearney Lake Road, you join the band, and then Patrick, I guess, is picked up at some point along the way.
Yeah, Jay knew Patrick from the two of them attended King's College in Halifax, and we had played briefly with another guy, Lucas Pierce, and it was just it's not like we were actively auditioning people or anything. It was just like, let's see what happens. And anyway, it didn't really seem like it was going in the right direction with Lucas at that time. So then Jay thought, I have this friend Patrick who had played in various punk bands in Halifax in the late 80s as well. And he came along, and Patrick was originally playing the bass.
Right.
And Chris was playing guitar. And I guess it wasn't until we were recording Smeared, the first LP, that Patrick really kind of decided I'm more appropriate as a guitar player.
Yeah,
and Chris just kind of took over on the bass. Okay,
so let's get into Smeared here. And I think most people listening discover Sloan because they probably heard Underwhelmed on alt rock radio. I know I heard Underwhelmed on CFNY and like 91 or whatever, and it's like, what is this? And then I bought the album. But there's another song on Smeared that is just amazing, and I'm going to play it for you right now. I actually didn't mean to play that much, but I fucking love this song. Seriously, great song.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a gong in this song?
There's no gong.
Did you consider adding a gong?
I don't think we've ever employed the gong.
Because I know a guy who can hit that gong for you.
Enough cymbals.
I'll call up Gil. He'll get you a gong. Okay. What can you share? Obviously, you get the vibe by now. I'm interested in the nitty-gritty details here, but what can you share with me about 500 Up? That's an Andrew Scott song.
Well, it's an Andrew Scott-ish song. Like early in our songwriting days, like a lot of stuff was a lot more collaborative than, say, it is or has been over the past 10, 15 years. So, I mean, whatever. I came up with the main body guitar riff for this song and maybe a couple of lyrics, but Chris and Patrick kind of added their own 2 cents here and there.
So would you say...
I wouldn't call it an Andrew Scott song.
So that's kind of the perception out there, is that the four of you bring songs to the table for albums. Like, that is the perception. Like,
that's how we do.
But that's not necessarily how it was when Smeared was coming together.
It was a lot more. There was a lot more. Say, Chris would bring a lot more songs to the table, and everybody would just kind of fall in. However, it seemed like it made sense, and there was no real roadmap that we had, like in terms of aesthetic or. There were the bands that we were all kind of influenced by at that time. A lot of alternative bands from America or UK or whatever. But then there was also, everybody kind of agreed on the Beatles and the Who and stuff like that. So we were just having fun at this stage. There was no expectation from any of us that this was going to turn into anything other than, maybe we'll play a show or two and make a cassette tape and give it to our friends or whatever. Like, we never thought for a minute that we'd still be doing it today and making a living off it.
Okay, yeah, amazing. So, but Smeared, which, again, I'm only a guy in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so I can't speak for the rest of the world, but it was a big deal for me in my world amongst my friend group too. Like, this was like...
How old are you?
I just turned 50, so yeah, 50.
Okay.
So,
just a kid.
How old? Oh, yeah, you're 57. I feel like we did a level check, and you revealed your top secret age.
Just rounded up. I'm 60.
Pushing 60, because I was saying I was pushing 50. I think after I turned like 46 or something, like pushing 50. But
50s are the best.
50 is that right?
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it.
But you're not done yet. Like, what if it goes all downhill the next 3 years?
Just play hockey every day.
Yeah. You know what? That's impressive that you play hockey every single day. Like, the fact that you have
Except
that kind
for
of time. No weekends. Okay. But how do you find the time?
Well, I don't have a normal job.
But do you have with all due respect, a lot of great rock stars come over and they got they got the music as a career, and then they have another career. Like, do you have another job, or is your job to be Andrew Scott from?
My other
Sloan?
job is to make visual art.
Yeah.
So, it's a careful what you wish for thing. What do you want to be when you grow up, kid? I want to be an artist. All right. Poof.
There you are.
Now what? But that's, I'm literally living my dream. And I get to play hockey every morning. It's like it takes an hour of my day.
What position do you play?
I'm a left shooting right winger. That's not to be...
Is that your political slant? The red hat?
Goes along with the red hat. No, I'm not political. I'm apolitical.
You're apolitical? Do you have do you care about Monday? This is the big federal election on Monday.
Very much so, but I voted on the advanced voting days.
I did it day one. Like, I was pretty jazzed to get it done day one, but you don't. It's your business who you voted for.
I'll
but
never not vote, but I try to turn off the noise as much as I can.
It's tough to do these days.
Holy fuck! Can we swear on this show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you just did, man.
You might. I don't know.
I say CRTC has no jurisdiction here.
Yeah, no, it's nightmarish right now in terms of world politics, but I don't know. I'm optimistic.
Has Sloan reconsidered playing, some of these border towns like Buffalo?
Sloan is one thing. I'm not going to the United States for the foreseeable future.
Well, you're 25% of Sloan.
Yeah, but I can't hold anyone else back from doing whatever one needs to do. But I'm personally not going to the States for minimum 4 years.
You're not alone, man. You're not alone.
No, I know. And it's not out of it's not to punish the American public, who I know a lot of them, and they're very intelligent, caring, wonderful people. But yeah, it's like Control your dogs, America. I'm not coming to your house until you get your dogs under control.
Well, I'm actually happy to hear you say this because sometimes you don't know what's going on. I got a call yesterday from the manager of an upcoming guest who just wanted to give me a heads up that my upcoming guest was a big fan of Donald J. Trump. Like, this was the call I got yesterday. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Big musician, big star. Got a number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100.
God love him.
Big Trump fan. Just give me a heads up. And I said, "Oh, are you telling me because you don't want me to go there? Because like I don't really play that game." And he's like, "Nah, you can do whatever you want. I just thought you might want to know that ahead of time
in advance." Yeah.
So stick it in your back pocket so you can pull it out or whatever.
Good intel.
Good intel. Meanwhile, the guy who showed up in the red hat, not a Trump fan nor a Reds fan.
Neither.
Okay, there's other red hats out there. We can get you a different red hat. Okay, but where am I? I'm in smeared land. Okay, so I played 500 Up, and I will say, and I always considered 500 Up an Andrew Scott jam. So it sounds like you have the mechanics there, and then the room will add to it and flesh it out, and then Sloan is a foursome kind of.
Yeah.
And when did it change that you said that now you each bring your own songs to the table or whatever? When did that change?
I'm going to say for Twice Removed, it kind of changed where everybody was a little more focused on, okay, I'm going to write my songs and Chris is going to write his songs and Jay's going to write his songs and Patrick's going to write his songs. I think that's when it actually kind of took that turn.
Well, that's quick, right? Because that's the second album.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I leave Smeared in the rearview mirror, because I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on Twice Removed, I did dig this up on your official Sloan YouTube channel, so let me just play a bit of this. So for the Sloan heads, this is a demo, so a little 500 Up demo.
Yeah. Sounds like Murph's singing lead on that one.
Yeah, almost like he's cracking up while he does it or something.
Probably. We were having a lot of fun.
It's just a demo. Have a good time out there. Okay, so just little bonus 500 Up. So with the critical and, I don't know, commercial success of Smeared, did it alter what you thought the band could be? Like at this point, you're like, hey, maybe maybe we are the next Nirvana. I don't know.
Well, we definitely didn't think that, but we thought, wow, we've just signed to the same label as Nirvana and Sonic Youth and all these other bands in in America at a time when it was just like, God, maybe we'll be huge. What does that mean? Maybe we'll be rich. Like rich what? Rich how? Maybe we will have more money than we've ever known or could imagine. And if that had been the case off that first record, we sure as hell would not be here now. There's no way
like intact as a band.
No, we wouldn't have kept it up if we had these finger quote huge success right out of the gates.
You say that so confidently, but it's tough when, as Krusty the Clown taught me, like when they park that Brinks truck in your driveway, sometimes it's tough to say no.
I mean, the Brinks truck has never been in my driveway.
But in this scenario, right? In this alternate universe where you are massive with the money.
We had the carrot of success dangled so quickly in front of us that we really didn't know one another very well. So, the first tour that we ever went on, which involved being in the States, was like 8 weeks long or something. And the first 3 weeks of it were opening up for the Lemonheads on the Shame About Ray tour.
That's a big one.
So we're playing in front of 2,000 people every night. And then after that was over, we're in the American South playing for literally 12 people. And we're just like slogging along, getting to know one another intimately, while we're also just kind of being disillusioned by our own situation. It's just kind of bummed out, like, God, what are we doing in El Paso playing in front of 5 people on a Tuesday?
Although, I mean, I hear, I have the Garys on, for example, and they talk about bringing the police to Horseshoe Tavern, and depending on which one you ask and which day, it's somewhere between 9 and 18 people come out to see the police at Horseshoe Tavern. It's like many of big fucking bands started with.
No, I know, and it's just we were young, we had expectations. I had my wife now, my girlfriend then. I wanted to be at home with her as much as I wanted to be out here playing music with my new friends / coworkers. But there was definitely a push and pull, and depending on who you speak to, it affected each of us individually in radically different ways. So there was a point, toward the end of the Smeared campaign, and then when we started up, coming up with songs to throw in the hat for Twice Removed, there was a lot of suspicion between us as individuals, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. It was just like everybody wanted to be in control of the situation, but nobody could be in control because there's 4 bosses here.
You're pulling at a thread that I think after my Twice Removed part, and then I actually pulled a quote of something Patrick told me like last month that I want to ask you about Twice Removed. I think I'm going to revisit that because I feel like an armchair psychiatrist having now chatting with all 4 of you that there's some interesting common threads here. By the way, I like your use of the term smeared campaign.
Oh, I didn't mean that.
No, but it's good because people always talk about the smear campaign,
That's
but this
right.
is the smeared campaign.
I totally didn't even catch on to my own.
You're playing 3D chess here. By the way, were you involved in the name of the band Sloan? Like, were you part of that discussion?
I mean, we were all a part of it. I think it just kind of landed on the table, and we all just thought, yeah, sure.
And is the legend true? It's you had a friend, Jason Larson, or the band had a friend named Jason Larson who was nicknamed Slow One.
Yeah, I mean, that was not my, I knew who Jason was. He wasn't a friend of mine personally. But this was, this is the story. I'm sticking with it.
Okay, so Smeared, it's like, oh, this is grungy, great alt rock coming out of Halifax. It's like we all got very, very excited. Sub Pop and all that. And then the next release, of course, is Twice Removed. So I'm going to play what I deem to be another Andrew Scott jam. So I'll play it and you can tell me like it's not an Andrew Scott jam, but I'm just telling you what I believe it to be. And it's great.
I once knew a pair that used to fit very tight, but now a man standing tall in the wake of this night. His eyes are watering in anger at the thought of her sight. The scene of adultery sets the stage for his plight. On an innocent trip, how can one ruin so much? A belief in a soul, in a beauty, or in a touch? It's like a 3-legged dog in search of a crutch. Dissecting and past all the motives as such. She once loved this person, a trial out of sight, disposing of their present situation. It felt right. 2 winters and summers passed over like a sound. And now the 2 of them are lost in a screaming battleground. With support all around him like a fence or a drink, he realizes the sadness that now he must begin.
Andrew, is this an Andrew Scott song, People of the Sky?
This one is, yes.
Phew, I feel better, but feel validated. Please tell me everything you can about one of the absolute standout tracks from Twice Removed.
Well, I'm going to say it's the only song that I've ever written where I took, check that, the second song. where it's the lyrically, I'm telling a story about something that actually happened. Whereas,
what was the first song? You corrected yourself to say the second song. I need to ask.
well, this would be the first one. There's another song on our record called 12. The song's called "Gone for Good," which is also based on a true story.
So, true story. Now, the band Sloan, I find it interesting because you all write, you all sing. Like, is
Yeah.
it just you bring your song and then you get to sing it? Is that the deal?
Well, that was always the plan with the band, and then when we did get signed to Geffen, they were like, "Wait a minute, what? You guys have 4 singers? No. We want one guy to sing all the songs. It's too confusing." And we were just like, "Fucking forget it. This is how our band works. So take us or leave us." And that would have been essentially when this record came out under the same label. The higher ups at that time were just like, "Fucking bury this shit. Let's promote whoever else." So they just didn't promote the record. But it was also right at 94, right at the time when the whole Napster thing was happening, and it was basically the major label system and the music industry as we once knew it was just a giant Titanic waiting to go down, and we just kind of got swept up in the maelstrom.
I'm so glad you brought this. I feel like we're in cahoots here, like you're reading my mental notes here, because I'm going to play a clip of Patrick Pentland, who is in this very basement. So this is on Toronto Mike, like, I don't know, a month ago. It's 2 minutes, but buckle up, listen to Patrick, and it sort of speaks
Patrick's
to
a very
something.
smart individual.
Yeah, it's Patrick, bright guy. Let's listen. Speaking of Weezer, it's fair to say, I think, that Pinkerton was there twice removed.
It would be in that I've barely listened to it.
Never heard it.
The first album,
twice
this big kind of certain sound, and then the second album, very different. But
Right,
over
yeah.
time, people are
Yeah,
going
but
to come out and say, "Oh,
Here's the thing, though, and this is why I'm always down on Twice Removed, and I shouldn't be down on it, but here's the reason, is because of Weezer, is because while we were making that record, while we were mixing that record, Twice Removed in New York, and we had the same A&R guy, and Weezer had been signed by him after we were signed, and I don't even know if we knew he signed them. We played with them on Smeared, and so we're mixing Twice Removed. I was really worried because it didn't sound like Smeared. I felt it was way too Beatlesy. It's not really, but I thought it was at the time, and I was like, the label, I don't know what we're doing, and they were like, no, it's going to be great. It's good. So whatever, we're doing it, and it sounded great, and whatever. And then Todd Sullivan, the A&R guy, shows up with the newly mastered
Blue Album."
this record by this band Weezer that you played with in LA one time. Remember that? I signed them. I was like, okay. I take it home to the hotel. I put it into my whatever it was CD player, and I was just like, oh my,
because that opening track is "My Name Is Jonas," and it hits you like a tidal
I was
wave,
just
right?
like, this is the record we were supposed to. This is what I've been talking. This is the record we should have made. I just didn't know how to. Not that I was claiming to be. I mean, Weezer have their own sort of, like Rick Ocasek being involved. It's a very Carsey new wave thing. But I just meant like this is the power pop, which was not a term I used then, that we should be making. And in fact we kind of did anyway. But like I was just blown away by their use of the guitars, and it was like a big guitar record, but it wasn't a heavy metal record, and I was so jealous. And I was just, and it was the same. Here's my thing that I'm so pissed about. I love Todd, but was that he knew that they were making that record, and he knew we were making this record, and he knew this record was going to be difficult for us to put out, and he should have said, listen to these Weezer demos, why don't you try to sound like this? But he didn't. And then they're the band that went off that we should have gone off, you know what I mean?
Please respond, Andrew Scott.
Well, thank God we didn't make a record like a Weezer record, because had we wouldn't be here today yet again. Like we made, you can look back on whatever you want to look back on. Patrick, again, this is an example of the complicated feelings that we all had as individuals or as little cliques or however you want to disseminate the band Sloan and how their thought processes work. Everybody's invested in as an individual, but we're also invested as a group. And how do you keep that cohesive and keep it trustworthy? And it's like I've been on this kind of like trying to really peel apart the meaning of the word compete. And my wife and I can lock horns on this sometimes, but it's just like I looked up the etymology of the word, and com is together, and Pete comes from Petra or something in Greek, which means seek, together seek. So it's not like an army defeating another army. It's working together to find a common goal. And a band is very much like a team, a sports team, if you will. You know, every night we play a show, we want to compete against the expectations of our audience, and we want to deliver the win, so to speak. Some you win some, you lose some. Anyway, it's the same thing when you're recording a record or anything. You only want to do the best you can possibly do to stand up to your own aesthetic values. And when we're talking about songwriting and individuals and stuff, like compared to when we wrote smeared songs, there was a lot less I'm going to come in with my songs and Chris is going to come. It was really Twice Removed where that began to become the model. And it's like, my real estate is mine to mold and shape however I deem fit. Your real estate is yours to mold, and nobody can say, you know what, I don't like the guitar playing on your song. It's just like, that's off the table. So inevitably, some people are going to kind of like go, oh man, that song's awesome. I love the way it's turning out. But there's going to be occasions where it's just like, I wish that was a little different, but it's not my song, so I can't really suggest it.
So I'm hearing you, but I don't understand why you didn't just do what you did on Smeared, and you're you can bring your songs and then in the room you can massage and work it. Like, why does it need to be like 4 solo albums? It's like the guys from Outkast put out like a double album, but one was one guy's solo album and the other one was the other guy's solo album. Like, it's like a basketball team that signs like 3 stars who don't want to share the ball, and then they realize there's only one ball, and they're actually a poor team because they're not working together.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we really come together as the team, as a live band. So we learn how to play our records after they've been made as a band. But when we're recording records, like I think it was I guess we're still on Twice Removed, but it was like the next record, after a brief hiatus, we decided we kind of were a little sick of one another. So around 95, we kind of was like, well, let's break up. But we were also really disillusioned by what had happened, what had gone down with Geffen at the time, and them basically, they wanted us to re-record Twice Removed to sound more like Smear, and we were almost finished this record that was costing an extraordinary amount of money in serious studios in New York City. And we were just like, we're not re-recording anything. To go back and tell your dogs that take it or leave it. And they took it, but they just basically buried it.
They buried it. And I mean, I didn't have to read between the lines in the Patrick Pentland chat to quickly decipher the fact that he does not like Twice Removed. He didn't like Twice Removed.
Well, I think it was a complicated record for all of us, because it was the sophomore big major label follow up to this very different sounding.
That's why I called it the Pinkerton, which I know you never listened to.
I've never listened to. I've never been a Weezer fan, period. And it's not out of they screwed us over. It's just like, I'm just not a fan.
Right.
Anyway, that's irrelevant.
But I remember at the time, because I did enjoy the Blue album from Weezer quite a bit, and I remember at the time, people disappointed that Pinkerton didn't sound like the Blue album, and I always felt like at the time when Twice Removed came out, and I quite liked Twice Removed, in 1996, Chart Magazine ranked it the best Canadian album of all time. But a couple of years after its release, like that was kind of big news. Like, okay. But without a doubt, Twice Removed sounded, well, Patrick called it more Beatlesy, but I don't know if that's fair, but it definitely didn't sound like Smeared.
No, and it was a conscious effort to not make another record that sounded just like Smeared.
So the label wanted you to re-record it?
Yep.
I don't know if I knew this, I forgot I knew it. So it's like you're telling me again for the first time.
I remember Todd Sullivan in the studio at Axis Studio at the top of the Studio 54 building telling us that they want us to re-record it to sound more like Smeared. And we're almost done. We're almost done Twice Removed as you know it.
And, now that we're on episode 1670, whatever I'm at, 79 or whatever, I've talked to enough musicians where you find out the game's kind of rigged because it's like you get this bank loan from the label and then they charge you for all this stuff, right?
You have to pay everything back.
Right. Because there is a misconception amongst people that like, okay, Sloan gets signed, you get this money, and then the videos and stuff are paid for by the label. Like this misconception exists.
Nothing is free.
No.
So
you wouldn't be you wouldn't want to throw more money at it by re-recording an album that you guys were all happy with.
Yeah. And to say that we were all happy with is like we made this other thing. Like, yay, we made another thing. Right. And we did it together and we're a band and there's the picture of our four heads on the cover.
Yeah.
And, there was from certain camps within the band, there was a real strong push to really try and emulate what the Beatles brought to the table. And then there were other camps in the band that were maybe not so interested in that, but just went along with it just to keep the peace or whatever. But looking back now, it's just like, thank God we didn't make that Weezer record then, because then our story would be completely corrupted and not what it is.
You would reset the time-space continuum.
Yeah, and you can't go back and redo anything. It's just like all this stuff happened for a reason.
So you have no regrets?
No, none whatsoever. I mean, at the time, I was pretty burnt out for a lot of reasons, and I think everybody else was in their own way too. And we did decide to let's kind of shut it down. Not knowing whether this was a permanent choice or what it actually turned out to be was just like a 1.5 year long break.
Okay, let's dive into that because I know you're the first member of Sloan to say, I'm moving to Toronto.
Yeah.
And from talking to the other, was that an impetus for breaking up? Like, okay, now we don't all live in the same city or whatever, because of course we're in a pre-internet age. It was a whole different ball game back then. So was that a part of why the band was essentially done?
No, it was before that. I moved to Toronto before we started recording or writing songs for Twice Removed. And I moved to Toronto to pursue a relationship with my wife, a woman I've been together with for 36 years.
Very talented actress.
Yeah, wonderful person. And am I ever glad I made that decision? And at the time, everybody was pretty pissed off at me because it's just like, wait, you're fucking it all up. I'm like, well, I'm taking a chance. And I'm hoping that we can still do what we're doing, but I'm just going to go and find the mother of my 2 lovely kids.
Yeah, you were in love.
Yeah, deeply.
Yeah, and you're still in love. I can tell by looking in your eyes.
Yep.
Smartest business. I'm a divorced guy, okay? I know the band outside of you, maybe different things have happened or whatever, but the smartest financial decision you can make is stay in love with the woman you're in. Stay in love and stay happy.
Love the one you're with. Love the one you're with. And just be faithful and don't be a dick.
Right. Okay, I'm taking notes over here.
35 years of touring, I've never, ever crossed any line. Ever.
And you're a good-looking guy. There must have been some interested people.
No.
No. Well, you'd be oblivious to it.
Yeah.
You got the blinders on. You're madly in love. Good for you, man. That's good. Okay, so again, I'm a dummy. So It's after, how many times has this band almost broke up, Sloan?
Just once.
Just once. Okay, and it's after Twice Removed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
After a long touring campaign and realizing that our label was just not supporting us.
And I'm trying to remember, I think Jay was telling me this in the backyard during COVID. Jay was telling me about, you had a commitment to play like a Canada Day CFNY festival, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was a commitment as much as it was it was almost a, let's put together this sort of farewell show. So we somehow, I was never really involved in the inner workings of like how everything gets booked and who are we dealing with and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what time do I show up? That's all I want to know.
So who handled that stuff?
Well, Jay would have a tighter handle on it between our management at the time and our label and booking agents. So I guess we sort of threw this thing together at the Molson Amphitheater in August or something. It was really hot and humid, and it was billed as our last show, and it was for a couple of years.
Okay, so how did you come together again to resurrect Sloan and keep her going where, you're still performing today?
Well, when we had decided to take a break, I was living in Toronto here. Everybody else was still living in Halifax. And, we're all lifelong musicians, and we're gonna continue to make music, whether it's with each other or with just by ourselves or with other people. So during sort of 95, 96, I lived next door to the late, great Dallas Be Good from the Sadies. And he and I struck up a pretty instant friendship. And I started playing with Dallas and Sean after their original drummer. The guy's name was also Andrew. I can't remember his last name. Sweetheart. He had to leave for whatever reason. So Dallas and Sean and I would be playing music together, kind of just for fun, just literally jamming. And Sean was not playing an upright acoustic bass. He was playing an electric bass. And the stuff that we were making, the music that we were coming up with, was basically like instrumental dirge metal. It was not anything like the Sadies that we know of today. Right. But then soon after we'd done a bunch of recordings with Don Pyle from the Shadowy Man and from Phonocomb and a couple other bands that he's been in.
Yeah, he's been here.
He's engineered some 8-track tape recordings of that era of the Sadies. And I've recently reached out to him actually to see if it's like, can you get me a copy of that? Just shoot me a digital copy. And he's just trying to find out all these old DAT tapes and stuff like that. And we did some recording with Jad Fair, like just his band that Don also engineered. And then eventually Travis, Dallas's brother, kind of just showed up. And then it just slowly started to morph into this a little more sort of psychobilly, countrified feel. And my wife Fiona also, she would perform with the Sadies at the time, sing backup and some leads and stuff at shows, various shows. And then around the same time, Chris and Jay would get in touch with me, and they were sort of saying like, we're just doing these recordings, like no pressure. Maybe at Christmas time, like I would go back home to my folks at Christmas or whatever. Maybe you can just come down to the studio and we'll just like bang out some 4-track drums for these songs. And I'm like, totally happy to. And very just kind of unbeknownst to us in a real urgent way, we were just kind of putting one chord to another together without even really realizing it. And then I went back to Toronto, and who was then our front of house engineer Brendan McGuire. He had a studio not far from where I lived, and I was making just 4-track demos of my own stuff at the time too, and then it became kind of clear that why don't we just make another record just for posterity, not to go and tour the world or anything like that. Just put it out on our own Murder Records imprint, and just do it, just like Nike says. And we had enough time apart. We had played with other people and realized, geez, like you're always going to run into some horns to lock with, no matter who you play with. Like, it's just the simple fact of working with other people, especially in a creative endeavor. You're going to come up against some resistance. So how do you navigate that? Looking back now, as a 57-year-old member of a band with the same original members, you just let people do what they have to do. Like, we're the same people, only older. You know all the routines, you know all the patterns. Just let things happen. Like, you don't have to get your back up against the wall because you have a disagreement about A, B, C, or D. It's just, let's keep the peace.
Keep the peace, one chord to another. I'm glad you brought up Dallas Good, because one of the questions that came in when I went on Blue Sky and said you were going to make your Toronto Mike debut is Cam Gordon, who wanted it. We just got it actually, but wanted the origin story of how you ended up joining the Sadies, and he wanted he was asking for any memories of the late great Dallas Good.
Yeah, Dallas was he was a zenith, one of a kind individual for sure. And I really lost touch with Dallas. Unfortunately, when Fiona and I had our kids, my kids are adults. I have a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old.
You know what? I have a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old.
Wow.
Fun fact.
What gender?
So I have a 23-year-old boy, my firstborn, and then my daughter, who's in Montreal right now going to McGill, she turns 21 in July, so she's almost 21. And then I also have a 11-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Oh my God.
There's the set right there.
Wow. Yeah, my daughter's 23 and son is 21. Okay. And so, when we had kids, like, when you have kids, your whole world just kind of takes a rapid change of direction. So for whatever reason, I was not playing in the Sadies anymore. This, when I had kids, Mike Belitsky was firmly the drummer for that band. And I just didn't really see Dallas for like 20 years. So when he passed away, it was a huge shocker for me as well as everybody else.
No, absolutely the worst news, and so sudden in that manner. Now, it's interesting, you talked about your dad would be banging on drums and you saw that, and then, you started with guitar and then moved to drums. But of course, Dallas Good, from such a musical family, like it's it was like his birthright to be a musician.
Oh, he was born to play music, for sure.
Yeah, shout out to the Goods, okay, the Good brothers. So I got a few spots here I want to just touch on. You've been amazing, by the way. So I really appreciate you dropping by and give me this one time. And again, because I'm writing this like book on Sloan. So I need to talk to all four of you, okay? And I want to touch on the whole four-headed monster of Sloan in a moment here, with much love and respect. But I'm going to just take a moment to give you some gifts, if I may, because you came all the way here. So Andrew, I'm going to give you a wireless speaker here. This is from Moneris.
What?
Wireless speaker, quality wireless speaker, but Moneris doesn't sell speakers. But Moneris wants you to do with that speaker is they want you to subscribe and listen to Yes, We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast hosted by Al Grego. Al went to Regina. I guess how many times approximately, I don't expect an exact number, but how many times approximately has Sloan played Regina? Too many to mention.
150.
150. I thought it would be close to 150 times. So Al went to Regina and sat down with Amanda Ray, who owns Base Studio, a thriving hair salon in Regina. And Amanda shared her story from being a stylist to a business owner and all the challenges. Sloan faced challenges. Well, Amanda faced challenges and had to overcome them, like the COVID-19 pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. So inspiring stories from small business owners on Yes, We Are Open. There's a measuring tape here, Andrew, courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home.
Wow.
Proud Canadian company that only sells Canadian caskets. So I think it's cool that they only sell Canadian products at Ridley Funeral Home. Much love to Brad Jones, the host of Life's Undertaking. Speaking of great podcasts, Building Toronto Skyline and Building Success are two podcasts from Nick Iones from Fusion Corp. He recently did an episode on the 50th birthday of the CN Tower. 50 years old.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. 50 years old. Okay.
I've only been up it once.
I think I've only been up it a couple of times, but it's expensive to go up to that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
that
dumb.
thing, you know. If you have guests from out of town or something, like you like, what do I do with these guests? Sometimes you think you should.
Yeah,
Probably
you guys go up. I'll be back at the house.
Have you ever eaten in that rotating restaurant?
Negative.
Negative. Okay. I don't remember like what I ate or how it tasted. I just remember the view was pretty spectacular up there. But yeah, shout out to Nick Iones and Building Toronto Skyline. I have in my freezer, man. This is, the 23-year-old, the 21-year-old, your wife, and you. You will love the lasagna that's in my freezer right now, courtesy of Palma Pasta. Delicious Italian food at palmapasta.com. They're in Mississauga and Oakville. So just to recap here, Andrew, I feel like Monty Hall here, but you got the lasagna from Palma Pasta.
Is it gluten-free?
Oh, shit. It's got lots of gluten in there. You need gluten-free?
Well, my wife's chef. But, I'll eat it.
Well, I apologize to your wife. And I was on your wife's IMDb page. Quite the lengthy list of productions she's been in.
She's been doing it.
She's the star of the family.
She's definitely the glue.
The glue. They used to call Phil Hartman the glue on Saturday Night Live. Shout out to Phil Hartman. Okay, so I don't have a gluten-free lasagna, but theoretically I could get you one and then bike it over if you wanted. Okay. But the one in my freezer loaded with extra gluten, I think, is how that one works. But Palma Pasta does have gluten-free options, just not in my freezer right now. So thank you, Palma Pasta. And recyclemyelectronics.ca, that's where you go if you have old electronics, old devices. You don't throw that in the garbage. Andrew, you go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, find out where to drop it off to be properly recycled. And this is a new sponsor only here for April, so Patrick didn't get this, okay? He's going to be very jealous when he finds out you have a robust cleaning kit from Silver Wax.
Wow.
This bucket, seriously, see this bucket?
Yeah.
And these two spray bottles. So the interior and exterior of your car and your, other people's cars, because you could share the love, will be spotless. And it'll have this beautiful sheen, and it's easy to use. And they sell pro-grade auto care and cleaning technology that's easy for everyone to use. Kits for beginners, experts, or professionals. That's yours just for making the trek to Toronto, Mike.
God.
And I got to tell the listenership, though, that if you want to save 10% off your next order at silverwax.ca, please use the promo code TorontoMike10. It lets them know that it works sponsoring Toronto Mike, and it saves you 10%. So the promo code is TorontoMike10. Silverwax.ca is the address. Andrew, you got some kick-ass swag here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm psyched.
Yeah, you look. I can tell.
Is it gluten-free cleaning?
Yeah, it's good for your breath too. Just allegedly, I don't want to be responsible when you do that. Okay, so enjoy the clean car and all the other wonderful gifts.
Yeah,
for making the trek here.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. Big fan here. Okay, so we are going to wrap up with a few random things. But one question I had, and I thought Patrick's reply was very interesting to this. We'll see if you're just as interesting. Okay, we don't compete like that though.
No.
You mentioned that the American label wants you to have one lead singer. Like, give us an Eddie Vedder, right? Give us a Kurt Cobain. Put somebody up front.
Yeah.
And you guys, of course, famously have 4 lead singers.
Yep.
And you're saying it was never a conversation in the band. Like, there was never a conversation about maybe Chris becomes the lead singer.
No, there was no conversation. It was just flat out. That's not how we do things. So forget it.
Like there was no,
Chris didn't want to be the lead singer in the band Sloan, because that's not how the Beatles did it.
No, the Beatles did have, although 4 members would sing. They had 2 primary front people. So 2, that's not like, there was, it was a George song or it was a John's, I'm sorry, it was a John song or a Paul. Name the Beatles for me, just can't. John or Paul typically up front. And you guys, it was non-starter for you guys.
Yeah, it was just the way we set out to assemble this group that we just wanted to have fun with out of the gates. And by making it fun, we wanted everybody to have equal amounts of fun. So everybody got to contribute as much as they wanted to, or as little as they wanted to.
Side projects. Are you in any current side projects?
In directly at the moment, no. But just getting back to the reason why I wear a red Cincinnati hat is because I'm in talks with a new friend down in Philadelphia. His name's Charles Patterson, but he goes by the name Sandman, or AKA Sand Cannon, all caps. Sandman, all caps, AKA Sand Cannon. And he's a rapper, and he and I we're gonna put something together, but it's yet to be figured out. But
this is real.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is we're just in the courting phase, but he wears a C hat because his sign is cannons. So now I'm wearing a C hat instead of a P hat. It all makes sense
now.
I used to wear a P hat.
Oh, like the Phillies or something.
No, the Pirates.
Pirates.
Yeah, but the only reason I wore a Pirates cap was because Chuck D wore one.
100%. That's what I was thinking.
And now I wear a Cincy hat.
Earlier in this convo, when you said you're not going to the States during, I guess during this presidency of Trump, right?
Yeah,
I was, and I said, well, you're without you, there's no Sloan, and then you just made a comment about like, well, you can only choose for you. You're not going, but if they go, whatever. And then I was thinking when I had Chuck D on this program, but I chatted with him at the CNE band shell, and I fucking love Public Enemy, like one of my favorite bands of all time.
Oh yeah.
And I went to see, they weren't Public Enemy though. They were Public Enemy Radio because Flavor Flav couldn't cross the border. So they basically, without Flav, there's no Public Enemy. They're Public Enemy Radio. And then in my mind, I didn't blurt it into my mic like an idiot, but I'm thinking it would be like Sloan Radio, like some kind of like, you know what I mean? Like 75% Sloan or whatever if they toured without Andrew Scott.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But speaking of seeing Chuck D, I went and saw him talk at Convocation Hall at U of T in 1988.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, what a smart individual that guy is.
Very smart. Very smart. And I saw him, where did I see him at? I forget what, the Sound Academy. Like, last time they played as a full Public Enemy with Flav. And it was promoted to me, it was promoted in the flyers and stuff. They were going to play It Takes a Nation of Millions in its entirety. And I didn't care. I was going to see, that's fine. But they played everything. Like, it was like, this is just some bullshit, like, marketing.
And getting back to the Sloan sort of origin story, that if there was one band that we could all agree upon, it was Public Enemy. And before our band was even formed, the 4 of us were unknowingly at the time in the same room at a Public Enemy show at the Dartmouth Sportsplex in like 1987, 88. Would have been 88 because it was Takes a Nation.
Yeah, yes, because 80, yeah, because they name checked the year in Fight the Power, which is on Fear of a Black Planet, and it's 89 is name checked. That's how my brain. But yeah, so Yo Bummer's the show is like 88, I think. Yo Bummer's the show.
Is it?
I think so. I think so. It could be 87 maybe?
Maybe 87. Yeah,
maybe 87. Time Bomb's on that album, and I still like if a word triggers, I still have all the lyrics to Time Bomb memorized, and I'll still just go into it like I can't stop myself and just do Time Bomb. But don't ask me to do it.
No, I won't.
Because you don't want to hear it. Okay. So shout out to Public Enemy. Fucking love it. Okay, so we look forward to that side project. Patrick made a comment to me that Chris Murphy was really against side projects because he felt like all your energy should be focused on Sloan. And then he found it interesting that Chris is in 100 side projects now. Any comment from you, Andrew Scott?
Funny that, eh? Anybody can do whatever the hell they want at any time. Nobody has any control over anybody else's needs, wants, desires. But when it comes to the band Sloan, just be in Sloan. And then outside of those work hours, do whatever the hell you want.
So how do you determine what are work hours? Like, I mean, last time I saw Chris Murphy was with Trans-Canada Highwaymen at the Horseshoe. Like, how do you determine what's Sloan time and what's your other stuff?
Well, actual Sloan time are booked dates on the calendar. And when there are no booked dates, then you're free to do whatever you want.
Okay, so let me tell the listenership that sloanmusic.com/shows is a great portal to dates on the calendar because I was checking it out the other day. So sloanmusic.com/shows. Go there and go see Sloan. I've seen him, I don't know, a dozen times or so. Great live band, still kicking ass.
We love our job.
You got a cool job, man.
I have a really great job.
You got a great job.
I'm
okay.
very grateful.
I guess you have no regrets. I get the vibe from you that everything happened in a way it for the best. Like where you are today, you're so happy that you wouldn't change anything along the way because then you would be in a different place today.
Yeah, and I do. I'm so proud of our story as we stand right now. That we never hit it big. Like we never got huge. None of us are finger quotes rich. I'm filthy rich in other ways, and thank my lucky stars every day. I don't want billions of dollars. No.
You're like George Bailey. You're the richest man in town.
I feel like the richest man in town. I get to go home to my wife, my daughter, and my animals, and my world, and just live a good life.
Was this Fuse iced tea deal lucrative and or a good thing for your family?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want a little cushion?
No, I asked you to bring in the paperwork. Do you have it with you? I want to see the deal.
I don't have the work, but we could get our management on the phone.
Okay, final. You've been amazing. I feel I don't want to take advantage here, but I will share a fun fact that I think is a little shocking and wild to me. That is it true that Sloan has only ever won one Juno Award?
That's true.
So it's for Navy Blues. I think
I think it's for one court to another.
Oh, geez, we got lots of corrections to make here. Okay, I think you'd win a lot of bar bets by betting that Sloan had won more than one Juno Award.
Yeah, and what's even more kind of funny is we don't have any East Coast Music Awards. Never won one of those.
My brains are on the fucking wall right now with that mind blow.
And thank God. I think awards, keep your dumb awards. I don't want your...
You know what Chuck D said? Who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy?
Fuck that. Yeah. What are you grading fucking art? That song gets an 87% out of 100. Fuck off.
Well, what have you done with your one Juno?
I don't even know where it is.
Okay. Not on display, not on the mantle or whatever.
No, I don't proudly display it. No disrespect to anybody or anything, but I don't give a shit about awards for art.
Did everyone in the band get one, or did you have to pay for it? Do you have any memory of it?
We all got one.
Did you all four members get one for just winning the award?
Yeah. I mean, they're not particularly handsome, really amazing looking item. It's just like a piece of see-through plastic.
So before I play us out with a cover of a Lowest of the Low song that Rob Bruce put together, which has some Easter eggs, including a song composed by Don Pyle, as one of the Easter
Wow.
eggs. So it's all going to come full circle. Could you share a little more? Lastly, I'm going to stick to this last thing. Can you share more detail on this side project that you're considering? The reason you're wearing the red Cincinnati Reds hat. Just a little more detail. Like, is it a rapper and then you're drumming on it? Like,
Yeah, I'm not a rapper. I do not. I don't make rap music. I don't.
you're no Snow.
No, never will. Never will happen. I don't even generate hip hop music, but I'm a big fan. Have been since like '84. And I discovered this guy through clips in the Re-Up Gang, and just got to communicating with him, and said I just said I want in, and by that I mean I just want to participate with hip hop in some kind of meaningful way, which from where I'm sitting, yes, I'm a drummer. Duh. What's hip hop? It's drums and words at its core. But this guy's he's the greatest living MC, hands down.
Does he know you're not going to visit him in person? He's going to have to come to you?
We haven't really gotten to that stage yet, but we're going to make some music, and we're going to make some fucking heavy hip hop.
So thank you, because some of my favorite music is when hip hop and rock collide. Like, I'm thinking of like an Anthrax joins Public Enemy for Bring the Noise.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really on that map, but I totally respect anything like that. And he's really excited at the prospect of something like that too. I'm more excited about just like being a fly on the wall. I want to see how hip hop music is made. Like, how do you actually do this? I know how to make rock music, right, but I do not know how you guys put these hip hop tracks together. And I'm really, really, really curious.
Keep me posted, because I'm very curious too. Like, I want to hear this.
No, you'll never find him on iTunes or Spotify. It's all just YouTube or SoundCloud.
Okay.
But he's got a lot of great stuff out there.
But I mean, whenever you guys get to laying down some tracks or whatever,
oh yeah,
I want to hear that.
We'll let you know.
Okay. How was this for you?
Totally fine. 100% great.
Okay. I realize I'm playing the closing theme now, and I guess people don't care, but maybe what I'm going to do here, I'm going to call an audible on the line of scrimmage here. I'm going to play just a bit of the demo for People of the Sky, okay? Because everybody knows how it starts. Is that like, what is that? What is that technique that makes the audio at the beginning of People of the Sky? Are you talking into like a megaphone or you know what I mean?
It would have just been like some rinky-dink little mic, I guess.
Okay, so here's how it sounded on Twice Removed.
I once knew a pair that used to fit very tight, but now a man standing tall in the wake of this night.
Okay, then I'm going to play the demo I uncovered. I meant to play this earlier, but I don't want to leave it on the cutting room floor. Here we go.
I prefer the demo to the album track.
I once knew a couple who seemed to fit very tight, but now a man standing tall in the wake of this night. His eyes watering in anger at the thought of her sight.
I was trying to be like Rick White.
From a scene of adultery that's just a stage for his plight. On an innocent trip, how can one...
Very interesting. Okay. I realized I didn't play it, so I wanted to get it done there, Andrew. Thanks for doing this, buddy. We got to take a photo by the tree.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll see you on the road, man.
All right.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,679th show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Again, get a ticket to Sloan. Go to sloanmusic.com/shows. Check out their upcoming tour schedule, or schedule, if you will. Either or. Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery. That's Palma Pasta. That's Moneris. That's Silver Wax. That's recyclemyelectronics.ca. that's building Toronto's skyline. And of course, Ridley Funeral Home. See you all. Checking my calendar. Oh, Monday, my guest is Devin Hero. You've seen him covering the Olympics for CBC, curling, etc. Devin makes his Toronto Mike debut on Monday. Did you ever watch The Friendly Giant?
Of course.
So these are the Easter eggs. We should enjoy them because he's going to get a new version for me very soon, Rob Bruce. This is Alfie Zappacosta. He's doing the Pizza Nova jingle.
Mm-hmm.
This is Rob's song he wrote with Gord Depp of Spoons. He was in Spoons. This is Romantic Traffic. Good Burlington band.
Yeah, I love them.
Here's Don Pyle.
And the late, great Reed Diamond.